welcome to this episode of Think Business. Looking forward to talking with JJ Reynolds. JJ, it's great to connect with you. Look forward to our talk. You're the co-founder of Vision Labs, visionlabs.com. We're going to be talking about marketing. If you go to visionlabs.com, Think Community, you'll see they give marketing, products, and e-commerce teams the data strategy to succeed and act fast, have the strategy from years of experience and cutting-edge tactics on your team every day. So this is a topic I love to talk about. So I'm looking forward to it. And so let's JJ, I'm a business coach, and I work with successful people all over the globe who are stuck, and I get them unstuck. And I think a lot of times people are stuck in something. We're just going to kind of start off with your name, with setting a vision, right? And they're not clear on their vision, or they may have been clear, but they haven't brushed it off and updated the 2-degree shift that it needs to, maybe a word or something. And so where do people get stuck from your perspective in vision setting, real-time vision setting? And how do you help them get unstuck with that?
Yeah, the biggest thing that we work with is around the data aspect of things. And so when you mention the vision, it's like, what do you expect to happen is one of the most impactful things you can ask whenever you have a website, a sales funnel, a sales process, any of those types of things. It really sets the vision of what you expect to happen. Like, hey, I expect that 1,000 people will see this sales page. I expect that 10% of them are going to book a call, and 1% and 10% of those are then going to buy whatever I'm selling. If you don't start with that, whenever you say it's not working, what's not working? Which part of that is not working? And that's right, where we can really help with along the way.
Yeah. I always like questions, right? So it's what you're saying is the question is asking yourself what's not working, right? And then taking space to kind of answer that question, right? And so what's the one thing people need to do? Because a lot of times people can ask the question, but they don't take time to actually think about it, create the space to answer the question, right? So there's the ask and then there's the answer. So what's one thing everybody can do to give themselves the space to actually answer the question?
Yeah, I would say start with what you know, right? Everybody has a different set of expertise, a different set of knowledge. Start with what you need to know, and then work backwards from there. And I call it the basics of marketer math, where you start with, hey, I need to do, let's just say, I need to have 2 new clients per week, whatever business it is. How many calls do you have to have of that? How many people need to see your page of that? How many people will be on your website? And you can really work backwards from there, which then gives you a very broad number to start with, where you can say, hey, I just need this many 1,000 people to be engaged with me on LinkedIn, for example. And I know that the number of people falling down from that are going to have the percentages are going to work out to my favor. And then if it's not working, you now know which part is not working. You should have the numbers of oh, hey, no one's going from my meme LinkedIn account to our sales page because they're not taking me seriously. So that's the problem, not the rest of the funnel.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so let's do a little mini business class, right? So Think Community, if you go to LinkedIn and you go to JJ's profile, one of the things you'll see is that JJ and his team are activating data one client at a time, right? Building a company using data. And so let's talk about 3 things on how you do this and how companies can begin, doing it and thinking about it. What's number 1?
Yeah, the number one thing that you have to do is just know where you're headed. Know do you have a velocity currently, and know where you're trying to go. If you know that gives you something to measure against. A lot of people come in the solo space, the solopreneur side of things, where they don't have a direction yet. They don't know which direction they're headed. And so you can't measure anything on that. I'm hey, it's not for us. We can't work with you because you're not going anywhere. It's kind of like sitting in a car and the car hasn't started yet. And you're like,
Yeah.
which way do I turn? And you're like, does not make it. You could turn the wheel 180 degrees. Doesn't make a difference. Like
Right.
you're going to be in the same spot you were. So that's kind of the first thing is like, do you have a direction? Do you have a velocity of saying we're
Right.
going to go this direction this fast? And we need to hone in on exactly that direction.
Yeah. Right. Number two.
Number two, I think, would be then knowing the relative metrics to that. So when I say relative metrics, I know it's a thing out in the out in the world of basically one number divided by the percentage, the conversion rate of each micro step that you have to plan. So if you say, hey, we're going to go towards this direction of being a supplement company for e-commerce, okay, awesome. How much are we going to spend? Of that, what percentage of that is going to lead to a click? Of that percentage, what percentage is going to lead to an add to cart? And if you know those relative metrics, it then gives you something much more tangible that you can act on when you say, like, it's not working, right? When you say,
Yeah.
what is it? The percentage working? It was supposed to be 20%. It's currently 12%. It
Yeah.
is not working. You now know the it, and you now know what working is.
Yeah, I just want to comment on that too. I talk a lot about when I'm working with clients on quantifying things. Whether you're an owner, a manager, a salesperson, quantifying things is so important. Otherwise, everything is just, broad and generic, and you think you're busy and you think you're working really hard, but you don't really know what to measure it up against. And so, I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, for anything as far as I'm going to call a lot of people versus I'm going to call two people every single day from this time to this time. I'm going to, right. So I like what you're talking about. What's number three, JJ?
I'd say number three is knowing where the money is, which it sounds really dumb when you say it out loud of like, oh, where's the money come from? But if you know
Right.
where that money comes from, it tracks back upwards. And usually that 80-20 rule is so true of 80% of revenue comes from 20% of people, that type of idea. But knowing that 20% that is providing 80% of the money to whatever business you're operating, this works across e-commerce, software, direct response, info products. It's almost always true. There's 20% of people that are going to pay you 80% of the money if you create the right offer. Knowing what that is, and then working back up to the highest point in your funnel, in your marketing strategy, so that you can say,
Yeah.
hey, these are the people we're going to go after, are this type of person. It makes
Right.
everything a lot better.
Yeah. Right. And what I love what you're talking about is you're putting it in very simple terms. I believe, um, business is easy. We make it difficult. And as we look at things with clarity and direction and numbers and data, and then layer in our gut, then we're good. But I always love the statements. You can't negotiate facts, and if you don't bring data to the meeting, people just use their own opinion. And so there's got to be kind of the combination. What I love about everything you're talking about is a combination of the art and the science. So I think it's great. Yeah.
Exactly. When you have like a percentage, so say for example, someone's like, hey, we're converting at 1%, and that's bad. Now what do we do about it is where the art comes into it, right?
Correct.
That's where you start to have like saying, okay, 1% is bad. We know what the number is, like good job team. We now know that 1% is bad because we wanted 5%. Now what do we do is where the art comes in, and you can't always, there's no science to that of like, oh, it's bad.
Right.
Like it is a little bit more art in the marketing world there.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. That was all great. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about your business. Visionlabs.com. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so we are a marketing data agency. So we work with companies ranging from usually 5 million on the low end to hundreds of millions on the high end. And if you don't have a data either team, if you're like a smaller company where you don't have a person even who's responsible for managing all of the numbers, to where we supplement larger teams when they do actually have an in-house team. And so we
Yeah.
work with people to set the goals, set the targets, set the percentages, and then ideally have those numbers at their fingertips. So you don't have to be like, if you're the owner or the marketing director, you're not having to be in these like spreadsheets, integrations, numbers, etc. You can talk with our team, and then we help build those numbers out in a report that is very replicable and scalable as you start to grow.
Yeah. I love it. Let's talk about marketing for a minute. Define marketing in a sentence.
Making people aware of what you do.
Yeah,
That's marketing.
yeah, yeah. I think and talk about shelf life of marketing. How long is the shelf life of awareness today?
I think if you're first, it depends on where you are in the category. If you're the first person in that category, like you made something up, I think it lasts a lot longer. But if you're a Me Too person, where you're like, oh, I'm also a uh, whatever, an e-commerce company that sells supplements that help your gut,
Right.
like it becomes a lot more difficult and it's a lot quicker
Yeah, yeah.
or
I think
faster
I
shelf
think
life.
Mark. Yeah, I think sometimes people think about marketing. Oh, I'll try marketing for a couple weeks. Oh, I'll try marketing this week. To me, marketing is a long term. It's long term period. People say, well, how long should I do this for? Forever. It's like there's so much noise out there. Figuring out your lane in marketing and staying. To me, the game is consistency, right? It's of course you got to be clever, you got to be clear, you got to have easy
Yeah.
to digest market messaging, and et cetera. But once you get that, the key is consistency. And so define consistency in marketing, how you would describe it to your clients.
Yeah, marketing becomes operations at the end of the day. So if if you have really good marketing, you have a good idea, and then you have to execute on that idea. The execution becomes operations, where you are building systems to say we're going to do this every single day, week, month, whatever the cadence is there, and we're going to do that very efficiently. And over time, ideally, the efficiency increases, so the amount of effort can decrease, and that allows you to then add more marketing ideas or functions on the front end. And I
Yeah,
think that at its core is when really good companies succeed. You take marketing idea that is very creative, ideative, based off of like the foundations of marketing, and you
yeah.
turn it into operations. And then that over time becomes less and less effort for your team to execute, and you can add another idea and stack on that marketing effort.
I love it. I love it. It's like that just reminded me of like Atomic Habits by James Clear, right? Habit stacking,
Yeah,
right?
marketing stacking. It's,
Yeah, I think Atomic Habits, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Those should be three mandatory reads. In elementary, middle, high school, college, and grad school.
yeah.
Um, all right, that was great. That was great. So I want to do a mini life course. You seem to have a history being an entrepreneur, finding companies, and I want to talk a little bit about 3 ways you kind of found your path to your current company, visionlabs.com. Because I think a lot of people are on a search for fulfillment. They're on a search for fulfillment within an organization, a side business, a part-time business, because maybe they can't do something full-time. But I think people learn from other people's paths. So what are 3 things that you can point to that helped you in your life get to where you are today?
Yeah. So originally, my original job was I was a videographer. I was a contractor who would make videos mostly for wineries. And so I would make these talking head videos that were for people who owned wineries, really rich people, lived in Napa Valley, got all the good things that come with that.
Yeah,
Realized that no one knew what to do, right? You shoot this video, you'd edit it, you do all these things, and then it would end up as on the about page of some random winery that was designed in like the 80s, it felt like. Um, Realized that Facebook was a thing. This was back when the Facebook boom, when like you could just run ads and get 1,000 people to see it for like a penny. So then I moved into saying, hey, we could run ads to this video that we made for you.
yeah,
Sounds good. $100. Here you go. I'm like, woo! Like $100 got you a long ways back when Facebook first started advertising on their platform. Then realized that people like that did that for several years, and realized that everybody really enjoyed the reporting that we were building out for the advertising. And I think the name of the game with running ads is you will eventually, if you grow your client, eventually another agency will come and take over because they're bigger. They have more resources, they can do more creative, they can run more budget, and they have a better sales team. And
yeah,
so I realized that was going to happen. So we ended up kind of moving into the data space and saying, hey, like eventually this is going to go out of house. Like we're not going to grow into be 100-person agency and run everything under the sun. So we actually we're able to separate from our clients and say, hey, you guys can take the ads. We will keep managing the data. And that really worked well. And so we just kept iterating on that. And more teams came to us and said, hey, we saw your reporting for client X. Like, we need something like that. We need a team that we can like trust and is reliable. And that is the progress. I'd say point 1 was videography. Point 2 was running ads on Facebook and Google. And then 3 was realizing that everyone really cared about the measurement side of things as opposed to just the advertising function.
Yeah. So that collectively kind of led you to here. What would be like if you needed to, that's kind of like a mini story.
Yeah.
What would 2 other things, kind of lessons along the way that kind of, what would number 2 be as far as if it was a lesson that you learned, on whether it be resilience, discipline, et cetera?
Yeah, I would say like in the beginning, always put in more effort than is being paid for. And that will yield you 10 times the result over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
During that one client, that one contract, that one thing, you'll probably lose money like per hour. You're like, wow, I actually am getting paid $5 an hour for this. Yeah. But if you're able to like put in the effort and deliver something that's way above that, it'll keep going until you have a brand that someone can say, this is why I would go to that company or that person, as opposed to just a random person on the internet on Upwork or Fiverr or whatever else who can race to the cheapest dollar amount.
Right. Go the extra mile. I mean, always, give more so people see it as an investment, right? It may, I mean, I love that. What would the 3rd thing be?
Yeah, I'd say another life lesson on that would be make sure that you know where you're going as far as the destination. And you don't have to have like, this is my 5-year goal, but I'm like, you got to be shooting for something of like, hey, like this is the direction I'm going. You can't just be like, hey, I have a general idea. I met somebody once at like a conference and they're like, I want to I was like, what's your business? He's like, I want to start an app in AI. And I was like, that's not a destination. That's not a, like, there's nothing there. It's like an idea that I had in the shower one day.
Right.
And so if you can say a destination of what that end state looks like, even just 1 year out, I'll say in 1 year, this would be amazing. That can really help you light a fire under your butt. And when you lose that, every time I've ever lost that direction in business of like, where am I going to be in a year? And I don't know, or I don't have an idea of what that will be, then everything starts to like slow down or stop or fall off the rails.
And I'll say also, I think sometimes right now, you just like, I agree with you. You want that kind of 1-year vision, but sometimes right now you need the 1-year vision. And every week you got to say, what's my vision for the week? Where do I want to be at the end of the week? Because the world is so, it's just moving at a different speed, it seems.
Yeah. And I think that like the 1 week thing is awesome because then it gives you like, hey, we're going to tie these 5 or 7 days to that. But what I've seen it happen a lot, especially with marketing teams like that we work with, where like 1 week they're like, we're going to do this thing for SEO. The next week we're like, we're doing this thing for ads. And we're like, hold up, like what happened to the last thing that we were working on? Like, what's the goal? Like in a year, do you hope to have like an organic growth business?
Correct.
Like, are you hoping to be run as a direct response in ads? Like, you can't change that every week. And so I think that's one thing that you could really take to heart, whoever that might be listening to this, is set a year and set a week that the week could roll up into the year, and you'll be off to the races.
You're going right because you're just hyper focused. I love it. That was perfect. Thank you so much. All right, let's do a quick speed round. A book that's had a big impact on you, JJ.
Never Split the Difference. Favorite book of all time.
Chris Voss, he's great. There's a great masterclass on masterclass.com of his as well. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received.
Don't be afraid to put in the extra effort.
Yeah, it's great. Finish his sentence. One thing everybody can do to be more consistent when it comes to marketing is
set a goal every day of what you're going to publish on.
I love it. It's great. Tell everybody who your ideal clients are and where they can connect with you, JJ.
Yeah, visionlabs.com, big contact button in the top right. Hit that, book a call. If you're doing anywhere between 5 million and up, we probably can help you save your budget, increase your results, and have a better direction. If you're e-commerce specifically, I would highly recommend you reach out. Even if it's just for a call, we'll probably be able to send you in a better direction than you currently are headed as far as your data is concerned. So
Right. JJ, I appreciate you being on the show. Think community, always appreciate you listening in. I'd like to extract one thing from every talk. You shared a lot of nuggets. You know, I love this podcast. I get to talk to people all over the globe who are in alignment with my mission to help successful people who are stuck get unstuck. And you shared a lot of great things, JJ, and I'm grateful for all of those. Want to extract one thing, which is just know where you're going. Right. A lot of times people don't know where they're going, and it can be confusing, and it can, you know, in the market that we're in today with things adjusting and moving so quickly, it can be confusing. But know where you're going. And if you're, like we talked about today, kind of, you know, visiting that as a live document every single day, the small shifts of how you're moving it won't feel like a big shift once you get there. So stay consistent and keep on going. You can reach JJ at visionlabs.com. You can reach me if you want to talk about coaching at jondwoskin.com. JJ, this was great. I appreciate your time and your insights. Thank you so much.
thank you for having me. It's been a blast.